Or big
for my
book,
one meeting,
large book.
my half meeting.
Okay, we should be good. Hit it.
All right,
It's on.
I call to order the meeting. I motion we adopt the agenda. Do you have that? No.
Yep.
Thank you. I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carried. Delegation.
No delegation?
This is later.
That's right.
That's
now.
correspondence.
Or,
Okay, now I make a motion that we adopt the minutes of the regular board meeting on December 8th, 2021.
Second. Aye.
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 Aye. I make a motion to adopt the minutes of the special board meeting of January 6th, 2022.
Second. Aye.
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 Aye. Correspondence, we do have a couple. Thank you USD 420 Board of Education for the $20 of Osage City Chamber bucks. I'm looking forward to using my certificate at the Osage Garden and Produce this spring. Your gesture was very thoughtful, Mrs. Judy Heward. And dear Troy District Office and Board of Education, from all of the faculty and staff at OCES, thank you for the many gifts of the holiday season. We appreciated the Christmas lunch, chamber gift card, and bag of goodies. Thanks again, faculty and staff at OCES. And before we go on, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the loss of Veronica Johnson. Dan Fager's mom, Carolyn, passed away, and Alan Carlson's brother, Butch, passed away. Okay, thank you. All right, treasurer's report.
All right. In the general fund, we had from the state of Kansas, $423,495 come in for the month of December. And then you'll see down, on 12/31, we had our January money come in December due to the holidays, so there's $415,887. Just right up above that, you will see where our sped money of $206,089 came in, and then it turned around and went over to the Three Lakes. In capital outlay and the supplemental general, you will see that we had some county money that came in December. And over in ESSER 2 column from the state of Kansas, that is our reimbursement of $6,023, and that comes in monthly, what we submit. And on the second page, under bond and interest, you'll see we had some money from the county, $6,593.99. Petty cash, elementary needs $173.91. The middle school needs $14, and the high school needs $38.72. You wanna flip to the payment of the bills. On the first page, the very first item, you'll see Osage County Treasurer. The land that we bought over here, a tax exemption form was not filled out when we purchased it. So we either had to pay our taxes or see our name in the paper in the delinquent, so we paid it. And as soon as the state processes our tax exemption form, sometime between now and August, we should get our refund back. For 9, we had some work done on the gray car. It didn't have much heat in it, and the truck needed a new gas gauge. BSN Sports, there's the pole vault pit that we purchased. That money, when we got it from the insurance or from the FEMA, went into capital outlay, so that pit, when we paid for it, the money came out of capital outlay.
Hey Tony, did we have any luck selling the old?
when we got the new ones in, we didn't get the old ones out. It was windy, and then it was Christmas break, so we haven't gotten it out to take pictures. So whenever Purple Wave gets a hold of us, we'll get those, pull those out and get pictures. And they make it down and take that, we'll do it then.
And then Sally's Auto Repair, bus number 14 needed a little work done on it. The very bottom of page 1, Fall at School Solutions, renewal for the high school and elementary library. Those is your program to check books in and out that we do each year. Page 2, down at the bottom, Osage County Sheriff's Office for $12,500. That will be our second payment we make for our school resource officer. They break it into 2 payments each year. And over on the page 3, Three Lakes Educational Co-op. The first one you see there, totaling $38,754. That is the premium pay that we paid to the co-op for teachers, paras, and the FICA that went along with that. And then the very last entry to the Three Lakes Co-op, there's that $206,089 that we saw on the treasurer's report. That is the flow-through money. Is there anything I missed that you might have a question on?
How many assessments have we paid to the Three Lakes?
I think this is our,
This isn't an assessment, this is the flow.
this is the flow-through, yeah. And I think on assessments, we probably have done 4.
Okay.
And we won't get our, we should get our sped money from the state coming in probably February or so. Because all of these others come in before our payments due, and then we get a reimbursement, I wanna say in February maybe.
I make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report, petty cash reimbursement to the elementary, $173.91, middle school, $14, high school, $38.72. Payment of the bills to be allowed in the total amount of $345,536.49 for January 12, 2022, and December payroll in the amount of $576,498.58.
Second. Aye.
I,
The payroll there, that includes the premium pay that went to our district employees, so.
Thank you. I thought it was higher than, yeah.
Higher than ours.
All right, old business, we have a COVID update.
You guys all received the email that was sent to you. CDC has came out with some different guidance, which would shorten quarantine time for positive individuals as well as household members. I just need you guys to kind of review that and decide if that's something that you would like to implement in our district, or if you would like to remain doing what we're doing now.
So as always, I'm gonna ask,
Sure.
what do you think? What's your recommendation?
I think that parents and staff and as a district, we would like people to be able to resume work or school before, and I guess in a shorter amount of time. That would allow students and staff or employees to return on day 6 after the positive individual has had symptoms. They would be allowed to wear a mask here at school through day 10 and then test with us.
So the testing, so right now, it's a reminder for everybody, we test every day, not household, let's just do close
Non-household.
contacts.
Close contacts
So close-
within school, yeah.
So close contacts within school, we test every day for days basically 2 through 10.
Yes.
And the close contact wears a mask during that time. Unless they're vaccinated
Or they've had previous infection within 90 days.
90 days. This would change that to we'd still test every day, but only till 5 days, or
No.
help us, yeah.
Are we doing non-household members?
We're still doing just non-household, let's talk about non-household.
So if you're considered a close contact at school, like in the classroom or on the court or in the lunchroom or whatever, we would notify the parents, inform them that their student was a close contact. We would then go through a series of questions for the parents to determine if they would qualify for testing here at school or if they're exempt from that due to previous infection or vaccination status. And if they do decide to do the testing with us here at school, we would test from the day that we become aware of the exposure through day 10. But with this new program, we would only test through day 7. And I just got an email indicating at 6:15 that KDHE has passed due to a shortage of supplies, that we could have the option of testing on day 1 of exposure. And then, let me read it so I'm right here. At least one additional time between days 5 and 7 after exposure. We have the option to test as often as we would like. If we would like to test every other day, we can. But again, the student should not be here or the staff members if they have symptoms.
So this is from 10 to 7, and then versus being tested all 10 days or the school days.
Yeah.
We need to discuss whether to do every other day testing, the third day, is my understanding.
Yes.
So that's what we need to discuss.
And then all the other
Yeah.
levels. Because it's like, this would just be like one of 4, I would say,
Yes.
areas that we start
You mean close contact being the first?
Yep.
Yep.
We start with close contact at school being the first, that might be the easiest one we can get through, and then.
So that's why, that's why I wanted to ask her if we all just wanted to decide how we handle the close contacts, and then we can decide how we handle
The rest.
the end.
Excuse me, how are we setting on tests?
Right now, okay, but that can change with one phone call. We can go from testing 5 kids to 50 with one phone call.
How many are we testing now?
Right now, because there is a significant amount of students and staff that are exempt from testing if they were considered a close contact, again, that would be from infection within 90 days or vaccination status. Right now, we're only testing 8. But
Good news.
we can get a phone call and that can change within minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any guidance from the county, or is it just KDHE that we're getting?
The county has guided us to decide,
Yes.
is my
And
understanding.
I have had multiple phone calls this week with KDHE asking for their opinion, guidance, and they referred me again to my school board. I even called
We're medical
CDC.
experts.
I even went above KDHE to verify that with the Centers for Disease Control. And they again said, refer to your state and local entities. And they said, I'm going to tell you now, due to law, blah, 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 your school board needs to decide. So, here we are.
Lisa, on that return after, on the 6th day,
Uh-huh.
you said and testing after that or no?
We are testing after date on return. That's something we need to decide. It's
Okay.
not required with my email that I just received at 6:15, but I would highly recommend it.
Test through day 10 then, or what are you
We
suggesting?
need to decide if we're gonna test the initial day of return. We can either test every day through day 10, we can test every other day, or we can test one additional time after that initial return.
We're still on close contacts. And
Within
the initial
school.
return is the day after
Stay 6.
we, close contacts. are
Oh, no, it's the
day-
day after,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So day after I get exposed, I have my close contact today, tomorrow I start testing. I test on day 1.
Depending on the flow of the day, and I get a hold of parents, we could test that day at
Okay.
school.
Okay.
Just depending.
I still like what we're currently doing right now for the close contacts from a school perspective.
Every day for 10 days.
Which is the every day. I think of course we're gonna get into the situation of what if, right? Like what if the number of tests available to us
Mhm.
reduced?
Do we say every day for 10 days, but if the tests become limited, we give authority for an every other day?
I think that's
You
where
can
it's
revisit it, if we run out of tests, we can revisit it.
Right, but if it's between our
Yeah.
time together, I think we could give the full authority to
Okay,
shift to every other day. When and if the tests become you're running low.
Unavailable.
When, feels like, when do you make that call of, hey, it's running low and we're,
I guess what is
And we-
low?
yeah, exactly, it's like, what is low and how long is it gonna take to get the refill from a
Which
supply
in-
chain
it
perspective?
usually took, I think last time it took 3 days when we were extremely low. And we even offered to drive to Topeka and pick them up, and they physically did not have them from CDC.
So if we were looking at it, and today I have 10 that I'm testing, and I've only got 30 test kits, I know I've only got a 3-day supply for what I'm currently testing. I think that would be a trigger to go every other day. And maybe that's, we have to trust Lisa to make the
Yeah,
right
my-
decision on those, but I think that's kind of how you look at what you're testing today and what's available and how long that will last you and whether you can get new supplies.
I like that thought process, what if we just throw another day out there, like what if we did 5 days, just in case, cause that's like Monday through Friday, like a 5-day work
Okay.
per school week. Like if you have enough for 5 days maybe, sorry, if you don't have enough for 5 days, then that's when you start going every
Switch.
other.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do close contact 1 through 10 every day unless supplies run low, then every other day. Everybody, does it make sense to
We
everyone?
have to make a motion for that.
Why don't we just do all of the pieces and then we could, if we need to make a motion, we could do it all, I can't remember,
Maybe at the end.
at the end of it all.
I think
Let's just do it at the end, yeah,
We just need to make sure we capture it.
I'm capturing it,
We need a whiteboard.
I know,
I know.
with red string from dot to dot to dot, that's what Lisa needs in hers.
Although Lisa, your spreadsheet that you put together was,
I just needed something that was easy for parents as well as staff and students to understand. And it is complicated, but there's a lot of facts that need to be on there.
Okay, so, non-exempt close contacts is what that is.
So that would be the blue.
Non-exempt close contacts test, okay? So then, the next stage would be exempt close contacts, whether they come back on day 10 or day 6, or
Correct.
that we need to talk about. Exempt students, exempt close contacts. Right now, they return on day,
Hold on, exempt, what do you mean?
well,
Like
the
if
ones
they're-
that have to
they're-
stay home. Now they had to come back on day 11, but now they can come back on day 6.
So if he tested positive,
would it be okay if we switch it and we go to close contact
Household.
outside of the household?
That's what we just did.
Oh, I thought we did close contact from school.
School. And you're talking about going to a household close contact?
I thought you said outside of the household.
Sorry. For my color chart,
Are we
I
doing,
think we did
yellow?
purple is what we just did.
Purple.
Cause that was
Yeah.
the close contact
in
from
school.
I unfortunately printed mine out in black and white.
oh, hang on, Kelly.
So
The
the last
bottom.
one,
the
the
bottom.
last one's what we just.
you're on the right one.
Okay,
That's what we just did.
Tyler, did you find yours?
Yeah, I finally got it.
And it's
I got it.
if you're considered a close contact to a positive individual within 420, thank you. I did not realize blue and pink had different. All right, Lisa.
So we just covered the in-school close contacts.
Yes, we did.
So
Now, yep,
you're talking about yellow next, is that correct? Is that where you went?
nope, we're talking about blue next.
Okay, so we're working bottom up.
Close contacts within school, I'm gonna add that. There we go.
So an example of that would be like, the student stayed with grandma and grandpa,
Thank you.
and grandma and grandpa are positive now. Or they spent the night at little Susie's house and Susie's positive.
Do we treat them different than we do, I guess that's why I got confused. Because would it be different than the close contacts within
This school,
the school?
we are currently not testing non-close contacts from school. So we do no testing on close contacts outside of this building.
Thank you.
How many of those students do we have that are out like that?
Right now?
Yeah.
Students and staff that are like close contacts, this includes household members though.
So it's
Cause
a
we aren't
combo.
testing household members either.
Yeah,
So that total is 43
How do we,
today.
how do we know
Yeah, that's
if a
what-
student spent the night with somebody and
The
was a
parents
close contact?
call and say, my kid spent the night with little Johnny and he's positive now, what do I do?
So can we just integrate them into the policy that we just decided on and say, okay, if they are self-reporting as a close contact, we treat them the same way we would a close contact?
That increases our testing here at school quite a bit.
so, but you're cutting days down at testing, correct?
I don't know, we haven't
Well-
decided.
We could.
We could,
I mean,
but the problem is like if we get too many testing, we only have so much staff to test them here at school.
correct.
Okay, so close contacts, we're discussing close contacts outside of USD 420. Just as a reminder for me as well. We need to decide, can they come back to school on day 11? Or now can they come back to school on day 6? And if they do come back on day 6, we will then start testing them through the day 10, according to the guidelines.
And I still think that's up to
basically the
us.
same thing.
So help me understand, right now, if I report that my child was exposed outside of the school, are we not letting them in the building until day 10 right now, or what are we doing?
No. If they have been basically, I can't tell anyone to quarantine if it has anything to do with outside of our district. So I refer them to their primary doctor, the health department, and then that agency or entity decides if they are truly a close contact, which is defined as 6 feet or less for 10 consecutive minutes or more.
But is the county quarantining them, or are they just saying,
Most people are self-quarantining
They're
And
on their honor.
on their honor and
Okay.
self-testing at a pharmacy or their doctor's office.
So what if by the change we need to discuss is, do we make a change? Or what we need to discuss is, do we make a change? Or, and by that change, they could come back to school on day 6 and then be part of our test slip stay program.
Correct.
Or if we keep as is and they can return on day 11 with no symptoms or et cetera.
I think we change it to day 6. I mean, that way we get these kids back in, I mean, I know
We're testing
several
them.
students that have been out for a long time, and that's the whole point, is to get them back in school.
I think we need to respect the fact that we might be putting extra burden on our testing, but the whole idea behind the testing is that we identify cases and in turn reduce the exposure in the schools. So I know it puts a burden on, and maybe we need to figure out how to address the burden rather than trying to,
Not keep the kids in.
than trying to shortcut the testing.
So our option would be a close contact outside of USD 420 can return on day 6 and begin testing. They can come back to school on day 6 and start testing and wearing a mask, or they can wait and come back on day 11. Like they have been. That's what we need to decide.
And if they come back on day 11, do we do a test on them at that point, or we just say, no, we're good to go?
But most parents, like I said, are testing outside of school because they're
Just to ensure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so close contacts outside of USD 420. Does everyone agree?
Well, I guess I'm curious from a staffing perspective right now, because things have changed from the, September, October board meeting where we're like, hey, Lisa, great, we've got these open positions, we filled them, but things have evolved.
Yeah.
So right now, is it, see if I get it right, you have one full-time person
yes,
and then one part-time? Or even that?
as needed, just
Okay,
for
and
testing.
that's it, because it was gonna be you and 3 others. It was
We have
2
one
positions we had
medicine
open
and
plus your,
Yeah.
Yeah, one you already had.
okay.
So you have a full-time and an as-needed
Correct.
with an
For
opening.
now.
Right, we might be talking about that later.
Okay.
So to Kat's point, if we say we agree, we want the kids to return on day 6 if no symptoms and test, what's your internal, does it make your blood pressure rise? Does it, based on where we're at, you know, what
It's
is,
just going to be a lot of different data collection and a lot more phone calls. But my team and I are willing to try anything to get people back safely as we can. And if it becomes too much, I'm not afraid to reach out and ask for help or ask for a policy change.
okay. Okay,
So next thought, just up for discussion. So we talked about potentially going every other day based on supplies, but if we maybe add more people to the list that's gonna be tested, do we want to maybe just go ahead and go to every other day?
what's your opinion, medical opinion of testing every day versus every other day?
I think every other day is better because you're not gonna produce many more antibodies that are gonna pop up on an antigen test like within 12 hours. It's gonna be more like 24 to 36.
If we did the every other day,
Just in general?
can we stagger groups so that it
I would
lessens
hope
the
so.
load on you?
Yeah, that would be your goal?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
And again, if they have symptoms, they should not be here.
so stepping into the process, you may have some that you test 2 days in a row so that you can build your stagger,
Yeah.
but from there, you go every other day.
So I'm gonna change the original commentary, test 1 through 10 every other day. Okay? And then on the close contacts outside of USD 420, return day 6 if no symptoms, wear mask through and test every other day through day 10. I promise it looks like scribbles, but I know what it says.
As long as you know.
Okay, on to yellow, otherwise known as household members of a positive contact, a positive individual. Go ahead.
I was like, this is tough, just because
It is.
when I looked at your spreadsheet, I saw it as highest risk to lowest risk.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, okay, so now we've got like maybe the 2 easier ones out of the way and, this gets hard.
I think this is where we're losing most of the kids
It
and they're out the
absolutely
longest,
is.
out of school.
So instead, but this could change it, we could say return on day 11 versus day, because right now isn't it day 15 or?
You have to complete 15 days, option to test on day 16. When that's negative, you can return on day 17.
So even if, whoa,
Say that again for me,
yeah,
please.
it's really confusing.
So,
Give me, or
original-
give me a scenario,
okay,
that'll help me.
my husband's positive.
Okay.
And I'm an employee. I have not been positive in the last 90 days. My child is also in the household. He has not been positive in the last 90 days. We do not qualify for the exemption from quarantine. My husband has a mandated 10-day quarantine. However, CDC changed that to a mandated 5-day quarantine. If your symptoms are weakening and you are not taking anything that is reducing your fever for 24 hours prior, you can return to work on day 6. Okay. Myself and my son would have to remain home the additional time to equal 20 days, or we have the option to test on day 16, and if we are negative, we can return on day 17.
So we-
Because the incubation period, from what CDC has released and KDHE, supposedly is 5 to like 14 days.
Okay, so with the new change from 10 to 5, does that then reduce your,
We need
move
to
your
decide
10-day
that.
window on the back end? Does it slide with it? So you would, again, you'd be but you're still at day 16.
So the new guidance from,
CDC.
that we received from the CDC, to your question, because that is mine as well. That stay home 5 days, monitor for symptoms, return to, so is this the days from exposure?
So basically, yes. The first day of symptoms that the positive individual had is day 1, day 0. They return on day 6 because they're feeling great, they haven't run a fever since day 1. And then this would allow, with this new guidance, this would allow the household members to return basically the same day that that positive individual returned to work or school. And then they would have to wear a mask and be tested here at school.
Through day 10.
So what if on this scenario, they come in on day 6 and we test them daily for the first 5 days they're back and then flip
Versus
them,
every other.
then flip them to the every other if
They're only going to be tested for 5 days
5 days.
because
So they
they're
could just be
home
daily.
the first 5 days.
Okay.
If they are not exempt from exclusion.
So an option,
So basically, this is following the other 2 we did, they just have to stay home for the first 5 days.
If they have not been
Yes.
vaccinated or previously infected, yeah.
same as it's actually the same same as the close contacts outside of USD 420. Return day 6, if no symptoms, wear a mask through day 10, but we're saying test every day versus test every other day. Is what we've been,
Is that gonna be confusing?
Yeah, I don't think it was confusing at all.
It is.
It is. In my mind, I don't know if any of you visited our testing area, but we have a really, really good system. It flows very, very nicely. Let me explain it this way. So like close contacts in schools, like we have different spreadsheets for clusters. Like if there's an outbreak in the middle school, I know these kids were exposed on this day, they need to test through this day. And then we have another exposure in the elementary school, that's a different spreadsheet as a close contact. These kids were exposed this day, they test through this day. So all those kids roll through, we mark them off, mark the results. And if we were to implement close contacts outside of school or household members, I foresee that being a completely different station. So the household member and close contacts that were determined outside of our district, and like Trina was saying, it's, I guess how did you word it? The
becomes
severity.
more severe, more.
Yeah, that would be a different area of testing in the gym, completely separate from the kids that are in the classroom that have been exposed.
So you're talking 2 people at each one of those stations?
No. Just 2 people for the close contacts in school, because that's gonna be our highest number, I feel. And then just 1 person testing household members and close contacts outside of school
As one group.
as 1 group.
Then we would want to test them the same, so.
Then
that
we'll
we
do
know.
the same,
Yeah.
not every day, or we either need to decide to do them every day or every other day.
Right.
So they're the same, so your block is the same.
Yeah.
For some ease, hopefully.
We'll do
Or
the
we
best
give
we
you
can.
color coded sticks and when you walk in, color, you
Pink, blue, yellow, and red.
There we go.
Why are you here?
So I'm curious from an admin perspective, is there any of these groups that are like, oh my gosh, please, like, can we stagger, or like maybe we start with 2 of them for the first couple weeks, see how it goes, and any thoughts, or just like, wow, this is a lot?
It is a lot on Lisa's plate and on her team's plate. I honestly don't deal with any of that myself because I've got other things in the morning that I'm dealing with in morning duty. So she has handled it quite well and I commend her and her staff for that, because I don't do anything about it. So, yeah, I don't know about these 2.
Ditto.
So,
I think the simpler we can make it, the better, for her and everyone else,
And for parents to
and
understand
for parents
as
to
well.
understand.
so right now, household members of a positive COVID-19, a student and or a teacher or anybody in that district isn't coming back for at least the 17 days, until day 17. So if we want to move that to 10, versus day 6, because they are the most exposed, and if the incubation period is 5 days, I mean, that might be a way. We are improving it to some degree, whether it's a 7-day improvement or a 12-day improvement of getting them back to school.
But we're returning those kids with, these are ones with no symptoms.
Right.
So, I mean, 16 is a really long time, 10
it
10
really
seems long
is.
to me.
I agree.
I think especially with a strain that's not as severe and going through pretty fast, I think it'd be appropriate to bring back off day 6 with symptoms. You're gonna test them. If they pop positive, they're going home. So if they stay negative, why, they should be at school
And they're at
instead of hanging
school,
out
which
at
is
the
a good
house.
thing.
And another thing to consider is those kids aren't in the classroom until after they test negative.
I know they're still wearing a mask.
Okay,
I think that's-
now we just need to decide every other day or every day. Or do we change the close contacts outside to be every day so it's the same?
Remind me again, which was gonna be the separate line with one person? Was it gonna be household contacts or both household
Both.
contacts and
Anything
contacts?
outside of this district.
Anything outside. For me personally, I'm more concerned about the household member.
We could move the other contacts that spent the night with grandma one night to the other.
Okay.
Area.
Okay. That's up to you, we you that spent the night with poor grandma that got COVID, okay.
One nighter with grandma, you go over here.
Well, it almost makes sense. If I'm close contact but not household,
Yes,
treat them like we do the close
The classroom.
contacts in
Right.
the building.
agree.
And then
Because-
the ones that are in the house with somebody with positive,
It's a lot different.
that's the higher risk.
Right, where I'm thinking maybe that would still be every day.
Right.
That's what I wrote.
Okay,
But
so
as-
you've
if
got
we're
one
okay with that,
line
that's what I
every
wrote.
day and the other
I
line.
can, that's, unless they're 17, then you don't see them. Okay,
That means a change in your process then, so that not all outsides are treated.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so we have the 4th one.
Can you kind of read the 4th one?
The 3rd one?
The 3rd one.
Yes. I will be reading them again
Okay.
when we're gonna probably do a motion on it, but I will read it again. A household contact of a positive COVID-19 individual will return day 6 if no symptoms, wear mask through day 10 and test every day. Red, you have tested positive. Thank you for the color copy. I don't know why I thought printing this out in black and white was gonna be helpful. Regardless of your vaccination or previous infection status, the CDC has recommended
You are staying home for 5 days.
and
then-
isolating.
Yeah.
You end isolation after 5 full days if symptoms are improving, so like you mentioned in your example. Take precautions for 10 full days, wear a mask for 5 days when returning to school, social distance as much as possible.
So
this,
this kid's coming back, having
Day
been
6.
positive at
At day
day
6.
Day 6.
with no testing.
You don't want to test them because
Because
they're
they're
going
gonna
to be
test
positive
Yes.
for up to 90 days or longer.
Lisa, my question for you is, remind me today, our students that test positive, how long are they out?
10 days.
10 days.
10 full days return on day 11.
Okay, I think we just keep that.
That makes sense.
What's that?
Just return on
If
day
you're
11.
positive, you come back, you're out a week, or 2 weeks.
CDC wouldn't have changed it if they didn't think that the 5 days was.
Well, and the strain is so weak now too.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're dealing with a different strain, so that's why the CDC went to the 5 days. They wouldn't have changed it if they didn't think.
So we can't test them because they'll test positive.
Yeah, I won't test them. It's a waste of a test kit.
Yeah.
And they're
Don't do
gonna-
that.
They're gonna fall into that 90-day exemption on day 10.
So we just need to decide if they come back 6 wearing a mask for until day 10
Yeah.
is what they recommend.
I can wait till what they recommend.
I don't have a problem with to
We've
say, I'm gonna take a
adapted
kid
the other,
that's
the
been
other three
exposed
we've
to
adapted, might
test
as well adapt the fourth one too.
We've adopted them all, is that what you said?
I mean,
Yeah,
we've-
I mean, you're
We've,
basically.
we've modified every single one to follow the CDC guideline. We might as well adopt the fourth one to follow the CDC guideline too.
It just feels weird. It just feels weird.
But I do agree, most of the infections now is the new strain, which has mutated to be a weaker virus. That's what viruses do. They don't kill their host, they mutate to something a little bit weaker. But of course, at any time, anybody can, have a more severe illness, but the majority of people are having weakened symptoms.
Lisa?
Yeah.
My question is, at the point that you test positive, or how long is it transmittable? Is that the $1 million question?
It's the $1 million question because you were contagious before you tested.
Right, I guess that's what I wanted you to remind everybody, you were contagious before you
Even
even
tested.
got symptoms and
And
tested.
most people recommend that you don't test the minute that you have a symptom because you're not going to have enough antibodies produced to create that positive antigen on the test.
So that makes me not as nervous about the 5 days, that's for sure.
For example, maybe I woke up on a Saturday morning and had symptoms. Nowhere in the state of Kansas can get you in for a PCR test. They're 2 to 4 days out. So I'm not even testing probably until Monday or Tuesday. I was already contagious
Before Saturday.
before Saturday. So on Thursday I was contagious. So you're already at 5 days the day when you test.
So then we're saying you have to stay home for 5 days and come back on day 6 if you're not showing any symptom, or if your symptoms
Significant.
are improving.
Is it 5 days from symptoms or 5 days from when you test positive?
5 days from
Symptoms.
post. I thought it was 5 days positive.
Positive?
Test positive.
Test positive, yes. It used to be symptoms.
They used to be symptoms.
Now it's, so that does give
10
you,
days from
you have your
symptoms.
symptoms, but you're not even testing for a
counting
couple of
them,
days. That does help.
So what else do you need from us to be able to make this manageable for you and your team?
We're gonna give it the best shot that we can, and if we feel that we need more resources, we're going to reach out.
Is there anything from a flexibility perspective on you being able to say, hey, this is happening and I need to be able to
I would
call the
say,
admins and say, we've got a full plug today?
I am totally always in communication with my admin daily, multiple times. They probably get sick of me, but I feel they need to be informed.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is with the current spikes and some of the things we're hearing in surrounding communities, where some districts are having to shut down for a day or two, I don't think we've given, as a board, any authority to anybody to
We are
make that kind of
not
call and then
at
say,
that point. So I think I addressed this maybe in an October meeting, that we should not consider closing down until, from a health perspective, until we have reached 10% or more of the population of one single building, meaning we would have to have 35 positive cases in the elementary. I don't know how many kids you have in middle school. That would be something that I would have to.
Positive cases, not close contacts.
Positive cases, that I would have to report to the health department, which would report to KDHE, because it would be considered an epidemic. Right now, positive case-wise, district-wide, staff and students, we are only at 1.4% of positivity.
and I'm not saying we're there or we will get there, but if we hit that mark, we can't convene as a group any sooner than 2 days from when we say, hey, we're having a meeting. And what do we do in those 2 days? Right now, I don't know that the admins have clear direction on the ability to say, hey, we can shut down for 2 days, use 2 snow days, not count them against the contract days, and all of the ins and outs, so that if that happens.
Right, we haven't said those words, I think we've tried to convey that, but we haven't been specific, so that's a good call out,
Yeah.
for sure, if we're at a point of, an epidemic, is that what you called it?
Yep.
An epidemic of the pandemic,
Yep.
I just wanna say both those words. In that case, I think it would be that threshold she spoke of.
Right.
And then it would be by school, right? Building,
We could either do it as a school or a district, we have that flexibility.
I think our major concern is not so much students or is staff. As long as we have enough staff, that's where, I mean, yesterday was a little bit,
Harry,
we had a lot of teachers stepping up and helping out and doing what we needed to do, but a lot of those illnesses also just could be random stomach bug or an appointment or just kind of the perfect storm where everyone was gone that day.
so I did see that Kansas Department of Education made a change today on qualification for subs.
Oh.
As of today, I just read it before this evening when I was preparing. That high school diploma with background check, et cetera, through June of 22. So I don't know if we need to throw that out on Facebook, let people know if that is something we need to do to increase our sub.
So do they acquire a certification from from KSDE for that? Or
It's the
we
teal
just are allowed to
grant.
hire them?
It's called, I believe, the teal, TEAL something, I did not read all the details, but it did say high school diploma, background check, and then I guess if we decide we would want them.
I don't know,
I didn't see
Three
that.
Lakes may have already found that out because a couple of my paras came in my building and after school and was asking me about it. So Three Lakes may have already put that out to their para educators, I don't know.
So cause I know that we've been running into so I don't know if that's something that we need to put out
Yeah.
on
that
Facebook
would
and
help.
advertise to let them know the steps they need to take if they're interested.
So I guess going back to.
So,
trying to go
sorry.
back, and there's a couple of things we need to clarify. If we give the admins clear direction that you have the authority to do this, we trust them, we let them do what they need to do. But we also need to make clear that we don't use those snow days in the count on the contract days that we have negotiated where they get the days off. We don't count those toward those days so that we don't cause problem contract-wise using sick days as snow days. But we also have to meet the 11-16 rule. So there's a few things that play into it and we've got to be smart about how we do that. I don't think it's fair to say we had to shut down for an illness and count that in those days that were negotiated in it, that if we use 5 or less snow days, there's a few days that we flex off. And I think this needs to be exempt from that, or that needs to be exempt from this, whichever way you want to say it. But we need to think that through and make sure that we do that in a way that's fair to our staff and also accommodates what we need to do.
And Todd, if it comes to that, I'm more than willing to sit down and visit with you about options on that.
Okay.
Maybe extending the day 10 minutes in order to cover that 1,116
Yeah,
hours.
and the 11-16 we've got to hit. We don't have a choice on that,
Right.
but we can get creative.
So back to the COVID, are we gonna change that?
So I think the test positive coded, this is what I wrote down, so see if everybody kind of nods their head. Return day 6 with improving symptoms, wear a mask through day 10.
No, you're fine.
No.
You're fine. I just wanted to make
So
sure we
then,
didn't get off.
I think, and then the last statement, so where you were, administration authority to, do we wanna call it,
Non-contact days, I think we'll say.
non-contact days,
To,
to declare non-contact days if needed.
Like authorize a shutdown or a closure.
authorize emergency shutdown.
Authority,
And if they aren't going to do it unless they absolutely have to. They don't want that any more than anybody else.
None of us do.
I think we've got to have it, it's better if they know they can't, in my mind.
when they have done that, I guess when other schools have had to do that, is it just a 1 or a 2-day, like a Friday, get through the weekend type of thing?
I think they're going a little bit longer, but now with these new guidelines, I mean, if, let's say we had to shut down tomorrow and Friday, we have Monday off, that gives you 5 days with the weekend, you probably could get through more than before.
Illness, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was just
two
curious.
days by a weekend might buy you a lot of time, so you just gotta see where you're at and what, kind of where your people are at too.
And I daily send them data as far as percentages and numbers.
And I think so making sure that we get that on Friday afternoons, just as a heads up
board.
courtesy. Cause as if we see this trend starting to go, we can understand if it's
Why.
what's might possibly be imminent.
But if we have to close, if it happens on a Monday that, hey, this is the first day of it, and we know we're headed towards something, the admins can let us know, and we can put together a board meeting to do a discussion if we have to by Wednesday, you know? So if we're looking at,
You can have an emergency board meeting, everyone has to sign off on a piece of paper, you know, in a case like that.
Within not the 2-day window?
You could call it that day.
Okay.
I would
Extreme
think there'd be a
emergencies.
provision if there's like a disaster or something that you have to.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
And that would, having to close because of, would probably warrant us needing to.
And that would apply to more than COVID, I mean, flu's still a real thing as well.
building fire, tornado.
So do we wanna say, so administration has the authority to declare a contact day / shutdown if needed? Or do we wanna say we wanna have a meeting? Sounds like we can have a meeting.
I would rather just give them the authority.
And meet if,
to do it.
and have a meeting if needed, or,
Yeah.
and meet with board if needed for clarification, or, okay.
I mean, we could always do it for a couple of days and that would buy time to have a special board meeting too, to talk about future actions also.
Okay,
And the administration will know, hey, we better have a meeting about this for what
Right.
we're doing, so.
right,
Or at least we give you the authority to shut down, take care of the problem now, and we have to have a meeting about it, we can't.
agreed. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion.
But hold on a minute.
Oh,
So in your folders,
I'm just kidding.
I think Mr. Hutton said also put out about your district plan for the safe return. We have to update that every 6 months. So he made some adjustments to that just for the January. And these aren't part of it, they're just following the KDHE guidelines. So that was in there if you guys looked over
Yep,
that, so.
we'll-
so do we need to just approve the?
We need to approve this with those changes
These
probably.
changes.
Oh, okay.
So all together.
Yeah, you can put it all together. And we can change this every month if we need to, but we have to update it every 6 months.
And the official title is the safe return and the plan, the district plan. Actually, could you set that right there for a minute? Okay. All right,
How did that come in? I haven't seen it.
it came in one of the emails, yeah, we,
It came in an email.
Yeah, it was attached to the one that he forwarded the one from Lisa, but it was attached,
to a different one.
to another one
Yeah.
that I printed.
Blue email with two different.
It's got, all the changes are yellow
You're so
highlight.
popular, Dave.
Yeah.
All right, are you guys ready? Here we go. I make a motion that we adopt the following policies for our COVID guidance for 420. All right. Close contacts within 420, non-exempt will test day 1 through 10 every day, every other day. Close contacts outside of 420, return day 6 if no symptoms, wear mask through day 10 and test every other day. Household contact, return day 6 if no symptoms, wear mask through day 10 and test every day. If you test positive for COVID, you will return day 6, assuming improving symptoms, wear mask through day 10. The board gives the administration authority to declare a shutdown if needed and will meet with the board if necessary. We are approving the USD 420 district plan for safe return to in-person instruction. That is all.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you for your time. I know it was confusing. Please
This
don't
was wonderful.
hesitate if you
Thank
if you have questions, and I will have an updated guidance for you guys by the end of the day tomorrow, hopefully before we can get it live on the website.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lisa. All right.
Throw a
That
wrench.
is-
I gotta throw a wrench in that though, because I just thought of when does it go into place, like
Perfect, thank you,
immediately?
yes.
This will be effective when possible, immediately.
So
Yeah, it's like-
tomorrow, I will work on
Yes.
gathering information to notify parents of household members that are home for 17 days.
Thank you. That'll be our first step, get those
Yeah.
kiddos back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Stop throwing wrenches in it, Kat. Just kidding. All right, so now for under new business. We need to, I thought you were gonna have words for me.
We need to have we're going over a resolution to establish the new board election.
So president and vice president.
So president and vice president, so we have nominations and then we have the resolution. Patty, we don't need to read this, do we?
We have before.
No.
You can do the short version by the checks, which one you will check, we'll just put a check at the first meeting after the second Monday in January, which January 10th, 2022 is the next board meeting date if the board does not meet on the second Monday of January. And just check that box. And then we will nominate, and then everyone will need to sign when we're done.
So if we do if we do it that way, we're doing the elections then in January
Right
going
tonight.
forward and won't do them again in July, is that correct?
No, in July, we can do them again.
So we also need to decide, do we want to just start having elections in January and hold and not do that is an
Yeah,
option that
that's-
we
That is
can
an
do.
option.
And that's what I'm wondering, cause
Yeah.
it seems to make,
We'll have another similar thing like this in July that.
right, cause we'll do all the appointments and committees and all that in July.
So,
But maybe we split the thing.
do you just do the elections and do the appointments next time, or what do you
Right,
think?
do
Yeah,
the elections now and the appointments in July.
We'll have to do a couple appointments tonight too,
Right,
to fill in spots, but.
Yeah. but those appointments we would redo. in July.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know, do you guys have opinions as far, to me, it seems like it makes more sense just to have the elections in January, cause every other year it's gonna be this weird 6-month thing.
It does now, when this first started, it didn't, but now it does.
Because of the timing of the elections.
Because of the timing of elections and you lose positions and what have you, so
You know,
it needs to be decided.
2 years ago, we didn't have a changeover, we just went on as we did, but now with the change of
Oh,
board
depending
members-
on, okay, gotcha, thanks. So if we do that, we need to,
We just check the other box on the
Yeah.
resolution. And
Is that what
say-
it is? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
okay, so we just need nominees for president.
Nominate Todd.
I nominate Kelly.
I nominate Kelly.
Well, I think
No.
what you have to do, you have to do a second, there has to be a
One
second.
nomination and I second the nomination.
Okay.
I second the nomination.
It's like-
Wait, but Dave had the first nomination,
Okay.
so Dave has to.
It's like this is
Todd
all
Peterson.
confusing. I second that.
So we,
Alright,
I
nay.
See, so that's, I mean,
You need 4 for it to pass, because we have a total of 7 members, and even though one
Okay.
is gone, it still needs 4 to pass, so.
Okay.
So then I nominate Kelly for board president.
We might be at a standstill, so.
Seconded.
Aye.
Nay?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-2.
I nominate Todd for vice president.
Second?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So we'll sign this at the end of the meeting. We'll check that and sign it at the end of the meeting.
Okay, the other check, okay.
And so now we need a community foundation school board representative. This was one.
Do we need to do the meeting
Oh, yeah,
date?
sorry. Need the meeting date. We can just keep that the same as, that's all right with everyone.
Oh, second
Second
Wednesday,
Wednesday at 7:00.
yes,
Same
please,
location.
don't change it now.
Do you want to make a motion on that?
I motion that we keep the board meeting the second Wednesday of the month, 7 p.m. in the school library.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
So now, community foundation, school board representative, this is, Mike did this, he said they meet about 4 times a year. So just need a board member for that. Anyone have any interest?
What is this again?
The community foundation,
Usually works better if somebody's in town, cause I think they meet during the day.
They're like a gifts and grants, organization.
Yeah, review applications and for grant approval and
A lot of it is, memorial type of grants that have been given to them, that they build up funds.
For community improvements and college scholarships. and everything.
And when do they meet and how many times?
he just said about 4 times a year, he didn't say when.
I don't wanna take that on.
I can adjust my schedule if needed.
Okay,
Got
Thank
that
you.
position.
thank you.
3 Lakes representative, we have, right now it's, Mr. Johnson, Kelly's the backup,
Mhm.
and Jay was the third, so we need a third person right now.
I'll do that one. If anybody else wants it. I know that's an evening meeting, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Especially as a second.
I know, and usually I have been a terrible second backup, cause it was always like on a middle school football night or something, but, okay. And
we
then
already
this,
did that one.
yep,
Wellness committee meeting representative, that meets with the wellness committee here at school. We usually meet about 2 times a year. Usually on an in-service day, towards the end of the day. Not a lot of time commitment to that. You just come in and listen to what we're talking about.
30 to 45 minutes.
go ahead, oh, the calendar, we just pass that around.
School calendar, so we've been working on this, administration's talked over it, looked at it, just pass those around. It's very similar to this year's calendar. I think you guys, has he sent that to you guys already to look at?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any questions or things you wanna look at and change and?
Tim, I think we ask this each year, do you happen to know if spring break on this one aligns?
It should align.
That's exactly what I asked,
Yep.
is, cause it sounds like the Kansas schools and colleges again are trying to all be on the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my question as well. And then, so the first day of school would be August 12th, and then the last day of school would be
May 18th.
the 18th.
Actually,
I know that, I was trying to find it, the highlight.
Amy, here you go. Patty, I got one right here.
That 12 is seen so early. And Labor Day's late next year.
It's still.
I'm in
it's still-
Memorial Day. It's 181, the teacher contract days is 181 at the bottom. Now, the last day of school of the 18th assumes we use all of the snow days, right?
Right.
So, man, our kids could be getting out
Good.
early.
They get up to the 17th, because the days that we would give up on the snow days would be the 10th, the 14th, and the 18th, I believe.
Say that again.
So if we use 5 or less snow days,
Mhm.
next year's calendar, April 10th and 14th. 10th is the Monday
Yeah,
after
I see
Easter, 14th is the smoke in the spring, and then the 18th, that last day of school would be the 3 days that we would give back, that we would not have classes those days.
So they'd still get out the 17th as
Right.
the earliest.
Right.
Even if that 18th was a half day.
The last day is a half day for students and then a full day for teachers, because they close out
Yeah,
their,
yeah.
Yep.
And then Christmas break, holiday break. I mean, obviously, yes, this looks very similar to this
Yeah.
year's, it's just off another day, but.
With the way it's written in the contract, there's really not a lot of flexibility in it. I mean, a few days here and there, but
Right.
So it's not possible to start the week of the 15th at all?
it is, you just move back in May. You'd move back in May a week,
Be the 25th?
right? Which this is, again, what we did this year, the 15th is typically like the first day of practice and stuff, so
So Keisha has already said the 15th will be the first day of practice.
Yeah. I believe that is, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, right,
The students are only here
the half day Friday, yeah. It's the tip your toe back into school day. Alright. Does any other thoughts or concerns? So, do I need to do a motion on this one, right?
Yep.
Let's do a motion, I motion that we accept the school calendar for the 2022-2023 school year as presented.
Second, aye.
Aye.
Alright, Three Lakes report. That was Brent, I didn't receive anything from him. Do you want me to talk about the one thing?
I can, if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's the big thing right now they're working on is para insurance for their paras. It's gonna be obviously a cost for us. Still just in the discussion stage, and they'll keep working on that and get us some more solid numbers. But the big thing they're trying to convey is it's gonna cost some money, but not all of them will accept the insurance either. I mean, a lot of our paras, I think they did a survey of like 73, and about 50% of them said they would take it. So out of a max, if 100%, they're talking around 160,000, but it could be as low as 40,000 for our district. So we just don't know until
That's
we get
our
there.
portion.
That would be our portion. So they're still working through that and trying to get some more solid numbers and figure out exactly what they want to do.
When is the deadline for that? When are they trying to?
It would be for next year, so they're trying to get a good number by May. They're
For August next year or?
Yeah, for August next year.
For school year?
July contracts.
I don't know if they do the paras do contracts.
Is that the same would they just be on the same insurance policy as ours, or do they have their own?
I believe Three Lakes would have their own. Yep. There's different premiums and stuff.
Alright, rec report?
We have started youth basketball games this last Saturday throughout the league. Everything has gone pretty well so far. The sixth grade group will start games January 22nd after middle school season's finished. K-ball and first and second grade basketball started this past Sunday. K-ball, there's 44 kids total, pre-K and kindergartners. First grade boys, there's 21, and first and second grade boys, there's 21, which it's actually probably about 70-30 first grade boys to second grade boys. And then first and second grade girls, there's 19, and there's more second grade girls than there are first graders. There'll be a dance clinic. Kathy Camarina and the dance team will do practice on February 3rd and February 7th, and then they'll perform at the halftime of the varsity boys game on February 8th. And that's really it for right now.
All right. Admin reports, whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. For the next school year, I just want the board to be aware that I'm gonna be looking at trying to hire another preschool teacher. That would mean that we would have 4 preschool teachers, we would have 4 3-year-old preschools and 4 4-year-old preschools. I anticipate at least having 40 in our 3-year-old preschools. I know it sounds, when you break that up, I should say in our 4-year-old preschools, but if you break that up into 4 sections, it sounds like there's only 10 kids per section, and that sounds real reasonable. But when you have little ones running around, it is challenging to manage. And I think that our staff right now has done a wonderful job, but some of their numbers have crept all the way up to 18 4-year-olds in a class.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that that is way too many. So I just want you to be aware of that, that's something that's going to be on my checklist for next school year. Josie Garland, I want you guys to know, she's done a wonderful job as our Parents as Teachers coordinator, but she has resigned. And because of that, we're not really sure what we're going to be doing with our Parents as Teachers. Right now, I'd probably say between January and May, we're probably not going to be doing anything with that program. But I will say that Mrs. Garland and Mrs. Giese are looking into possibly putting together a similar program. Parents as Teachers right now, Josie was only able to service 10 families, which ended up being about 15 students that would be coming into our district. But if things work out, and we're going to try and get everything worked out as best possible before the beginning of next year, that means that we would be able to service a lot more families, which would mean a lot more students. So that's kind of what we're looking at right there. Hopefully I'll have more details for you guys at the next board meeting. Last I think meeting, I gave you guys information on the playground equipment. Well, I've met with our elementary site council leadership team and the faculty, and we've gone over and over all of these structures. One of the things that we really wanted was, because the blue equipment is such bad shape, we wanted something that was gonna entice our kids to really be physically active. And so the structure that Matt Klein, our designer, had given us and that I showed you guys, we started looking at that, and they started asking, what's the height of the structure? And you guys may have even asked that, I think, at one time, and I wasn't really for sure. And when I asked him, the height of the slide was 8 feet. Now, when you look at a 5th grader going down an 8-foot slide, that's not really enticing. So then I asked him, I said, is there any possible way that you could do something bigger, not necessarily more expensive? And he did give me something.
I like it, good job.
He did give us a really good design, but we have gone back and forth, you guys, all last week and this week, trying to piece together things that I showed you in the last structure to go with what he's given me in this next structure. So again, because he was not able to give me the final bid on the structure, I want to wait till the next board meeting, but I don't want you to think that I'm not doing anything on that. We really are working towards it, and we know at the next board meeting, that's probably going to need to be a decision.
Okay.
Just because of the time frame. We want to make sure that this new equipment, if board approves, we want to make sure that we get it in place at the end of the summer, before next school year. So, and I think at the last meeting, is this right? We had a bunch of parents here asking about room holiday parties. Just so you know, Kathy Reed, Darcy Keefe, and I, we're all leadership team members. We met with Crystal Brab and Annie Guile after a couple of days of that meeting, And we sat down and we discussed possibly a room parent policy, because there were some concerns from my staff and I think some concerns from the parents too. And so we put together a policy. I presented it to my leadership team tonight. I'll present it to my faculty next week. And then after that, I'm meeting with Crystal and Annie again, along with Mrs. Reed and Mrs. Keith. And then we'll finalize everything in hopes to have possibly Valentine Day parties with some restrictions, just so you know. So we've got that in store. K-Kids and student ambassadors right now are sponsoring pop tabs, collecting pop tabs in the elementary school for the Ronald McDonald House in Topeka. So that's going to be going on between January 18th and May 1st. The grade level that collects the most pounds is going to get a Sunday buffet sponsored by K-Kids and student ambassadors. And then I just wanted to recognize Mr. Nicholas, our band director. I don't know if any of you were able to go to the holiday concert. It was wonderful. And I just wanted to commend him on such a great time. We had many positive comments in the elementary school on that concert. And I know that he had a lot of work that went into it and he wasn't able to actually display that before the holidays because of the bad weather that we had on that Wednesday. But he was able to do that shortly after we returned from winter break, and it really was a magnificent concert. So good job, Mr. Nicholas. And then that's all I had, unless you guys have questions.
It was the first band concert in 2 years.
Right.
So we thought maybe it was even doomed for that night, so wondering what would happen.
It was doomed.
It was close.
I'll go quickly. We were supposed to play Friday night basketball game, but that's been postponed due to COVID reasons. So, talking about all this and keeping kids safe, and I think our school has done a great job, and Lisa and her expertise. And if there's a COVID expert, it's Lisa. And like Dina said, I don't mess with it much. I just refer to Lisa, and she tells me. So she's done a great job, and doing that, I mean, we've been able to stay aboard and stay afloat and keep our kids active. So kudos to her and all that work. Fall semester, honor rolls come in. We had 56% of our students, 56.6% of our students on honor roll, 44 kids on the principal's honor roll, which is 3.0 to 3.49. Superintendent's honor roll, we had 54 kids, 3.5 to 3.99. And then 26 students on the Board of Education honor roll, which is 4.0, comes out to 124 students, or 56.6%. So kids did really well last semester. Tech students, we had 78 classes at Washburn Tech and 18 classes taken at Flint Hills Tech. That's 96 classes, and 94 of them were passed. So the kids that are going to Washburn Tech are doing really well. It's a good thing for our kids as well as our graduation rate. A lot of those kids getting those classes aren't always very successful in the classroom, and they get down there and they're able to really perform, get their hands on things, and really do the things that they're interested in. So that's been a very good asset for our school to have tech school. Credit recovery, we have that continuing. We had 54 courses taken last semester for credit recovery. 54 courses taken, 33 of those were credit recovery, and 21 of them were initial courses. So some kids have to take an elective, or they take another course that just not offered in our schedule. We had 70% of our credit recovery classes taken recovered, which is huge for graduation rate as well, because we have those kids recovering those credits and getting back on track for graduation. So it's been awesome. Mr. Holloway is the instructor, or our facilitator of that, and he's done a real good job. Again, the band concert, excellent. It was just a great show, and I thought Mr. Nicholas did a great job. Flint Hills tournament, basketball tournaments come up next week. The brackets won't be officially out, but it looks like that our boys and girls both will play on Tuesday. Our girls will play at 3 o'clock and our boys at 7:30. Win or lose, they'll play again on Friday, and then championship or the backside of the bracket on Saturday. So we won't have to be going down every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday,
Awesome.
Friday, and Saturday. So we finally doubled up on some nights, so we'll be down there 3 times instead of all 5 nights. Spring semester testing is coming up. Spring semester is known as our testing semester, so we have a lot of that coming up here in this next semester. Sophomores and juniors will be taking the ACT and or work keys. Our juniors, our state assessments is our sophomores and juniors. That'll be coming up in late March, early April. The ACT and work keys will be the juniors and seniors. We encourage the kids to take both. The work keys is really a good assessment to have on their resume, or a score that a lot of businesses will recognize. It kind of does a lot of more of the soft skills kind of testing. Fast Bridge will be all levels to identify struggling readers. We used to use the ACT Aspire. That went through some transitions, some changes, and so we are no longer able to use that, but we've gone to Fast Bridge to help identify struggler readers. We're using that this year for reading, and next year we'll implement the math part of it. So kind of easing into it as we get more training on Fast Bridge. Wrestling mats are in. Well, they're not in. They've been ordered. They were just under 20,000. We were able to, the state wrestling meets have, they buy new mats every year. And so we were able to get with that company, and for the money, we were able to get a logo mat and Velcroed instead of taping every seam. They're Velcroed, and at the same rate as if we would have got the taped type with no logo. So we saved money. We didn't save money, but we got more for our money. One drawback is on February 26th, when wrestling is over in Park City, Wichita, we have to go get those mats. So we'll have to figure that logistics out, but those mats will be in and have those in. But and
That's awesome.
that's all I have to high school, unless you got a question.
Backs for the bleachers.
We sent an email out again yesterday and got a response. They're still waiting on to get them in, just like everything else with COVID. It's back.
So they have the backs, right?
I
They
think
just
they
don't
have the
brackets.
backs. It's the hardware that I think is on a boat.
Well, they look great.
So they said mid-February, hopefully. But I mean, it's looking more and more like hopefully we'll get them on for next year.
That's fine. They look fantastic, and the feedback I've gotten are awesome. I think when you visit schools that don't have appropriate handrails, and it makes you really appreciate what we have, so.
It'll be really nice when we get them.
All right, middle school.
I want to echo what Dina and Tony said about our band concert. I thought it was great. Mr. Nicholas, he's been doing a great job with those kids, and I think they've really adjusted for a concert, for not having a concert for 2 years. They really came out for sixth and seventh graders. That was their first concert, so I know our middle school is pretty excited about that, and they did a good job. And also, Lisa's doing a great job keeping up with everything and keeping us informed and keeping us in school. I think, we've been in school this whole time, so that's something we still got to be pretty proud of. We've had a couple bumps here and there of some large numbers, but we've made it through, and we just keep going. So, and also to our staff for stepping up when we need help. Anytime, I think any one of us ask our teachers if they can cover for someone, they do it, and no, that's just part of it, but we're keeping our kids in school, so that's what it's about. Honor roll for the middle school. This is a new record for us. It's awesome. 82% of our students were on one of the 3 honor rolls. So that's about at least 15% higher than my highest one since I've been here. So they're doing a great job keeping on top of things. I didn't break it down into all the ones, but that's pretty good. Quiz bowl practice for middle school begins next week. They had an interest meeting on Tuesday. Their first meet's here on February 7th at 4:30. So if you're interested in helping out, let me or Mrs. Lohmeyer know, and we'll put you to work. Those are fun, watching those kids get the answers right. The questions they're just guessing at sometimes. It's pretty entertaining. Flint Hills Junior League basketball tournament's going on right now. Both our teams were 1 seeds. They both won Monday night, so they both play tomorrow. The girls play at 6:30. The boys play at 7:45. And then win or lose, they'll play at 11:30 and 12:45 on Saturday. So both our teams are having great seasons and looking to finish strong. District Spelling Bees coming up Wednesday, January 19th. That'll be right here in our auditorium at 1:30. First, second, and an alternate will go to the County Spelling Bee. And this year that'll be at Santa Fe Trail on February 10th at 10 a.m. We're getting going on some testing also. We'll do our second round of Ames Web testing on January 25th and 26th with students. And then we'll start state assessments later on in April. We also have the Flint Hills Junior League Band Clinic coming up, and that's at Emporia State on February 3rd. They have a clinic that starts at 3 and then they have a performance at 7. So that's for our 7th and 8th grade band members that want to participate. And I think that's all I have.
All right. I make a motion that we move into executive session to supplemental classified positions pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under coma, and the open meetings will resume in the boardroom at 8:36 with the admin to be present.
Second, aye.
Aye. of middle school Suco from Tracy Ensminger. Approved transfer of Heidi Hoganson from part-time to full-time food service. And approved Danielle Clark as assistant nurse for the remainder of the school year.
We adding the
Second.
section for Brenda Meyer in there. Part-time.
He didn't.
I didn't have that on there.
Second. Aye.
I
Aye. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you guys.